Hi guys, welcome back to Functional Fitness Fridays. I am Crystal Mathis, and of course with me is my best friend and Master Functional Trainer, April Emmers. Today we are going to be talking about the deadlift. It's a video we see all over social media, and unfortunately it is not always done properly. Not by the person showing the video, but by the person trying to emulate what the video does. So we really want to break this move down because it really is a wonderful move for people of every age and every demographic to learn, but you need to be able to do this properly in order to avoid injury. So April's really going to break it down for us. We really encourage you to watch this video in its entirety because you want to learn how to do this properly, otherwise you're going to hurt yourself. Trust me, I've hurt myself before doing this incorrectly, and it's not a pain you want to feel. So definitely watch this video in its entirety, and let's get started.
So as always, there's always different variations of the exercises that we talk about. Today, I'm really going to focus on what we call the straight leg or stiff leg deadlift. Technically, your legs aren't all the way straight, but that's just the terminology that we use to distinguish between like the conventional deadlift, the sumo deadlift, and all that, but
that's for another video.
That's for another video. So the straight leg deadlift is actually a move that you can take outside of the gym as well. We'll show that towards the end of the video. But to start with, we're just gonna get right into how you would use it more typically in the gym or at home if you're working out from there. I'm actually going to have Crystal demo a couple of reps without any weight, just so we can get the form. So for this one, we're actually going to have you turn sideways to the camera. So first off, she's going to have her arms straight down in front of her, and she wants to keep her hands, arms, all that as close to her legs as possible as she's going down. Most people tend to think that when you do a deadlift, that it's all about how far down you can go. It's more about the stretch that you feel in the back of the hamstrings. The hamstrings and the glutes are the two muscle groups that we're really utilizing in this. The low back is working, but you should not feel this in your low back in terms of pain or discomfort. If you start to feel twinges or anything that just doesn't feel right, please stop and either reevaluate, try to change some things according to this video and try again. If you're still feeling that, then I would say this is an exercise that you need to do in front of a trainer only until you are comfortable with the form.
Correct.
Okay? So we're gonna have our arms start in front. Again, as always, chest out, shoulders down. Good. So one way for her to keep her back in the position that we wanted as she's going down into the deadlift is to concentrate on keeping her chest out the entire time. People start out really well with their chest out, and then as they go down, they start collapsing, and then that's what creates that arch in the back, and that's a no bueno. So she can also have a little bit of a soft knee as she goes down, so that's where I said you're not totally stiff or straight, because you don't want to lock your knees. You just want to have like a soft knee pattern to be able to go down. So keep your arms as close as possible to your legs, and I want you to hinge over from the hips. It's a hinging motion, not a squat. See how she keeps her chest out. She's going to go a little bit below her knees, and then from there, as she pulls up or stands back up, she's going to get a contraction in her glutes to push her hips a little bit forward. Good. So let's do it a couple more times. And then come up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Nice. Good. Another thing that you'll notice is you don't necessarily have to over push your hips up. Sometimes you'll see people doing this number. That can also jar on the back as well. So you don't have to do that. When we say squeeze the glutes and push the hips forward, you just want to feel a little bit of an opening up of that front anterior chain.
Yeah, when I squeeze my glutes, my hips have no choice but to kind of open up a little bit, but it is not a large movement.
Right. Okay, think we're ready for some weights.
Okay.
Again, sometimes when people add weight to things, it totally changes their form. So really focus on keeping your weights as close to your legs as possible. Sometimes because of how heavy the weights are, people tend to drift out here, and then there goes the back. So if she really keeps it nice and tight, then she gets that great deadlift movement. I already feel a stretch in my hamstrings and I don't even have weight, and then she can come straight up out of it. So let's try it. So chest, good. Take it down. Good, she has that soft knee. She knows her range of motion, and come up. Good, so I'd even actually have her go down at that good pace that you had, but maybe come up just a little bit quicker.
Okay.
So she's stretching out everything, elongating the hamstrings, and now we want a nice fire, good, contraction, activation, which is gonna allow everything to pull her back up. Perfect. So again, this is a hip movement. All the movement comes from the hips. The knees aren't bending. Sometimes I see people doing this number. That's a different kind of deadlift if we really want to get technical. So if we're just focusing on today's deadlift, we want to make sure there's not a bend in the knee. You want to make sure that the hamstrings and the glutes is what's doing the work. And once you start to really bend the knee, you're activating your quads, okay? As far as this transitioning into everyday activities, there's a couple of things. Again, if you are picking something up off the floor, or even if you're taking something from one height to another height, you can, basically deadlift down into that position and then back up. So it's still more of a hinge instead of a squat.
Picking up a small child.
Picking up a small child, yep, you can deadlift that way, hinge over, pick up.
And that really saves the low back. It really makes the larger muscle groups do more of the work than the tiny ones up here, avoiding injury.
Right. And as always, there's tons of different ways that you can pick stuff up from the ground. This is just one example that we're giving. In other videos, we showed you how to do it from a lunge. We showed you how to do it from a squat.
These are all tools that you can keep in your toolbox. Again, they're all activating different muscle groups or similar muscle groups in different ways. And then you take these out of the gym, apply them to everyday life, and you're really able to live a more sustainable, active lifestyle while avoiding injury. So we really want to encourage you to follow these moves the way we film them, because we're starting from the basics and then we're going to build up. So it's very important before you start to advance to any other variation of a deadlift or any other exercise, you really want to get the fundamentals down first. You want to make sure that you can do the basics properly, so that when we start to incorporate multiple moves into an exercise, you have the form, and again, you can avoid